Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So this is the 10:30 session on emergency rental assistance. There's some handouts or a handout by the entrance, double-sided Spanish and English. It's the same page. So my name is Teyber. I am a senior housing program specialist with Santa Barbara County Housing and Community Development. And for the last year and a half, I have been the program manager for the Federal Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Before we get into some of the benefits and eligibility criteria, I wanted to kind of provide a bird's eye view of where this money comes from, how much money we have, and how much money we have still coming. So on the slide here, this shows the kind of 4 buckets of emergency rental assistance, or ERA for short. So there is a lot of emergency rental assistance money that has come, and even more still coming to Santa Barbara County. There was an allocation of ERA funds to the state of California, and then also eligible counties throughout the state under the American Rescue Plan. And then prior to that, there was an earlier distribution of ERAP funds through the 2021 Consolidated Appropriations Act. Both of these were run through the United States Department of Treasury, and Treasury calls these ERA 1 and ERA 2 respectively. So on the screen, you kind of see those two buckets for each the state and the county. So on top of that, there was an allocation of ERA 1 and ERA 2 directly to the county from US Treasury, and also an allocation that went to the state, which was then distributed to the county. So for ERA 1 rental assistance, United Way, or the county received, and United Way has fully expended about $13.2 million in rental assistance. And the state just closed its application for ERA 1 funds due to projected exhaustion of funds last week, totaling $14.2 million. And so those are the 2 columns on the left side of the chart on the screen. For those that submitted an application to the state and haven't received payment yet, the state is continuing to process applications received, even though their application portal is closed and they are not accepting new applications. United Way, on the other hand, is accepting new applications currently online. It's on the handout, and I'll have a slide with the online application portal shortly. This United Way program that's currently open is utilizing County of Santa Barbara emergency rental assistance funds as they are received from Treasury. The total estimated allocation is $16.6 million, but we haven't received all of that money yet because it's released in tranches. And then we are also expecting another dole of state ERA 2 funds of approximately $12.4 million. So with that kind of national background or statewide background, this slide shows the eligibility requirements for Santa Barbara County renters applying to the now United Way application portal. In summary, it's basically for a renter to apply, you have to have a rent obligation, which doesn't necessarily need to be a lease, but a lease would be the most straightforward way to show a rent obligation. Other examples of documentation for a rent obligation could be just a letter from your landlord saying that you verifying you do live there, or also just a history of payment, like previously cashed checks to that landlord. And then there's an income component of 80% area median income and below. And what 80% area median income is on the bottom of this slide. Area median income is divided up by household size. So 80% area median income is going to be a different dollar amount for a household of 1 than a household of 4. But if you look at the slide there, you can kind of see how that shakes out. And then I also included the 50% area median income because this program does, even though eligibility goes up to 80%, the program does prioritize 50% area median income. And at least in the United Way ERA 1 round, the vast majority of assisted households, which I'll get to in a second, were in that 50% area median income bucket. So here we show the some demographics from the County/United Way Emergency Rental Assistance 1 program. So this program is now closed. They're running their ERA 2 program. It launched about a week and a half ago. We don't have much data yet on that new program because they're still accepting applications and processing them. But this shows the $13.2 million that was expended earlier this year by United Way, and I think would be indicative of what we can expect with this ERA2 round that's currently being spent. So in summary, United Way served 1,400 or 1,413 households. The average rent paid is $8,262. Keep in mind, that's just rent. Utility assistance is also available in this program, but the rent assistance was over $8,200 on average per household. As I alluded to previously, the vast majority of these households were at 50% area median income and below, over 92%. And 73% of the households assisted were family households with a median household size of 3 or more. And then at the bottom of the link, I have the link to United Way application portal. So tenants are encouraged to apply if they think they are eligible. Here we have the state program, which is also, like I said earlier, it is now closed. So I don't want to confuse anyone. This program is, while they're processing applications received, they're not accepting new applications. People who haven't yet applied or are seeking additional rental assistance should apply to United Way at the link on the previous screen. But I think this provides some helpful information for showing the impact that these funds have had in our community countywide. So the state received approximately 2,000 applications. Of the $14.2 million, they've spent about, well, this number is a week old, but $4.19 million. So I assume that would have gone up a little bit in the last week. And they're continuing to process applications. The application portal closed because those 2,000 applications, based on kind of the average rent assistance, it's projected to exceed the Santa Barbara County allocation. The state has assured us they're not going to, they will fully fund all of those applications that are received, whether we hit that ceiling or not. But that is why we switched to the United Way portal. So this is probably the, this lists the assistance available. So all arrears dating back to March of 2020. So if you're behind in your rent, we can cover all arrears. Current rent. So for month of, I guess it would, going into November, that would be the current rent due, and then additional 3 months of rent assistance to provide to relieve financial burden and provide housing stability for low-income households. So if you kind of theoretically, you could get if you get all arrears, current rent, and 3 months prospective rent, there is essentially an 18-month cap on assistance. So that would be kind of at that, once you've been assisted with 18 months of rent assistance, you would kind of have maxed out the program and would need to pursue other resources for rent assistance. As I said previously, utilities are also allowed. And so those can be past due, current, or future, or not future, but current or past due utility bills. And whether it's utility bills or rent, for rent or for utilities, payments are always made directly to the utility company. In the vast majority of cases, payments are directly made to the landlord. There are some exceptions where funds are released to the tenant with the understanding that will be paid directly to the landlord, but that is extremely rare. 99% of the time, payments are made directly to landlords and utility companies. One thing I want to talk about that is new with the United Way program that just launched a week and a half ago is relocation assistance at the bottom of the slide. So that would include security deposits, first and last month's rent, and application fees for moving into a new apartment, that sort of thing. This is a pretty significant change from the program. Previously in the ERA1 funds under the Consolidated Appropriations Act, the tenant had to remain in their existing unit to be eligible. That kind of made sense during a pandemic when they didn't want people moving around, and the idea was to keep people housed. Now with the American Rescue Plan ERA2 funds, I think Treasury recognizes that people maybe, we've been in the pandemic world for over a year and a half now, and I think Treasury recognizes that people do need to move for reasons not related to non-payment of rent. So they've provided some additional flexibility there. So whether you're moving because you were evicted from your old unit, which probably shouldn't have happened considering there's a statewide eviction moratorium, but or whether you just need to move for a new job or family, whatever, If you were previously a Santa Barbara resident and you're continuing to be a Santa Barbara resident, you can include in your application for rent assistance. You can receive security deposit, first and last month's rent for that new unit. The rental market is very, very tight in Santa Barbara right now, and we recognize that landlords might be hesitant to accept payment from a third-party entity, not the tenant. So the way we're dealing with this currently is we have a form letter that United Way provides the tenant applicant, indicating that they've been pre-approved for this relocation assistance, and then the tenant can kind of shop that letter around after looking at apartments or units. And once they sign a lease of at least 6 months, then payment will be made directly to the landlord. So it's, we're trying to build that relationship with landlords and get the word out that those letters are legitimate, and just kind of explaining what's going on there. So United Way and the state of California are staffing call centers where applicants, tenants, and landlords or courts at their option can check the status of an application. So tenants or landlords that need to confirm the status of an application submitted to United Way should call 805-965-8591. Excuse me, that's 805-965-8591. And tenants or landlords that need to confirm the status of an application to the state should call 833-430-2122. And this is actually a statutory requirement of AB 832, which was the state legislation by which the state distributed their treasury allocation. And it also contains the sort of extension and modification of the statewide eviction moratorium that we're now sort of in the middle of. So basically, I don't want to. This workshop is about rent assistance, not about evictions. But this does tie into eviction proceedings because a landlord would need to show that their tenant has not applied for rent assistance or is not eligible for rent assistance to proceed with an eviction. So this is sort of at least through March of 2022, is sort of a critical step for court eviction processes. So that concludes my presentation. I'm certainly open to any questions. It's an exciting program it's not new. So I guess I should say, rather than exciting, it's shown to be extremely impactful. The volume of funds that's coming is pretty sobering, just compared to what other funds we typically have in a non-pandemic year from HUD for these kinds of programs. It's a exponential increase, and I think speaking to tenant advocates and landlords, it seems to have really had an impact in Santa Barbara County, and we're excited to keep this successful program open. And so statewide, there's a lot of talk about exhaustion of funds. I was just sitting on a call with the state on Thursday, and they're starting to talk about winding down their program statewide. We still have, over $10 million that have not yet been spent for rent assistance. So not during this kind of quasi-eviction moratorium stage that we're in right now, it is imperative that tenants apply for rent assistance for every month that they are unable to pay their rent. And there are funds available. So the fact that there's a lot of money doesn't mean that tenants should wait, because they could continue to be evicted while these funds are sitting in county or state coffers, and that would be a real shame. So with that, I think that concludes my presentation, and thank you all for your listening.
Thank you for that. I'm wondering, if there's a projection on how long the current application will be open, and then also if you have a projection of how long you think how long you think the last like $10 million or so is actually going to last us.
Yeah, those are both excellent questions. On the first question, I don't think, I guess we would be unlikely to close the application portal even if funds were exhausted at this point, for two reasons. First off, there's a potential national reallocation of funds from many other states are way behind the state of California in spending these funds. When the Treasury distributed the total funds across the country, they did it based on population, not based on any indication of need or low income or renter households. So others, not to name states, but some states have spent like single-digit percentages of their allocation, and there are the Treasury is able to claw back those funds and redistribute them. So, point being, we would, and this is all, nobody knows how that's exactly going to shake out right now, but we would probably keep the application open even if we were projecting to have exhausted the funds, just in the hope of receiving more Treasury funds, and then also to continue providing through March of 2022. Like I said, the rental assistance is sort of tied to eviction proceedings, and so we would be really hesitant to close that application portal because of the impacts it would have on the court process.
Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David McDermott, and I have two questions. One, is your presentation, the slideshow, available on the United Way?
It is not, I don't believe.
It's not.
I could try to upload it to the county HCD website.
Because it's really excellent, and because I don't have a pen and I'm not taking notes, but it's really great information.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll put. Are you familiar with? If you just Google County of Santa Barbara HCD, I'll try to get it up on that news and announcements page on Monday morning.
That'd be great.
I probably won't leave it there for a very long time because as things change, I'm just scared of having out of date information. Right. But yeah, I'll certainly do that. Yeah.
And a follow up. I noticed that it's being recorded. Is the recording going to be available for
So this
public?
is being recorded for, well, I'm being told that yes, it is going to be available to the public. I think they're also going to try to recreate this housing day in Santa Maria in a couple of weeks. And so I think this panel or this workshop, this video will be played on a larger screen for that event also.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Madeline. I'm a fourth year at UC Santa Barbara, and I wasn't given priority for housing, so I'm in sort of transitional housing in a hotel, and I've been slapped with $3,000 to pay, and I don't really have a way to pay it. I'm unemployed at this point in time. I'm looking for a job. Am I still eligible to apply for funding as somebody who's not like living in Santa Barbara, like officially?
I mean, you're a fourth year at UCSB and you don't live in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I live in Old Town Goleta. I live in a hotel in Old Town.
Yeah, well, I mean, this program is available countywide.
Okay,
so
yeah.
County of Santa Barbara.
Nice.
Yeah, so Goleta's in the County of Santa Barbara, so you would be eligible. The own students can be a little bit tricky because how you define household determines your income. And so basically, if you're still part of your parents' household, your whole family would have to qualify for assistance, whereas if you were an individual, then just your income would qualify. Are you receiving unemployment benefits?
Not at this time. I never really applied. I was just using my savings, but
Sure.
I mean, I'm trying to get a job.
The reason I ask is there is some shortcuts you can take in the application to show eligibility. And so unemployment benefits, receiving participating in any sort of state or federal low income program like SNAPs, WIC, school lunches, those sorts of things would kind of preemptively get you approved because the assumption is if you have the same income for the income requirements for both programs are the same. So yeah, I guess my answer to your question is that it would depend on, as a student, if you were independent of your family household, your parents, or not, and if you were part of if you were part of that household, then your whole family would have to meet the income eligibility, which is possible, or and if not, then it sounds like you would probably qualify.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As an advocate, I would say just go ahead and apply. And then if you're not eligible, you're not eligible. But what if you are? Just go ahead and submit your application. You never know. And I did want to note that I went on the state website as when the funds were still available through the state. Housing is key. Now when you go on there, there's you put in your zip code, and there's a link in it if you want to apply. if you're not aware that the state funds are not available through the Housing is Key, there's a link and it takes you directly to the United Way website now. So that's really cool that they made that change. Because if you were to be on there a few weeks ago, you would have had to apply through the state. Now they direct you to apply through the county.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. It's a great point. And that is, I think this is it's really great that people are paying attention, because that change has been in the last week and a half, and it's a pretty big change. So the state is referring people to the United Way application portal. There is still some confusion because they put out some TV ads and stuff that kind of hit the air right when the switch happened, which was, so I don't think there's been too much of an issue with redirecting applicants, but to the extent that you can get the message out that United Way is the place to apply, that would be great.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but did you say, are the relocation funds, is it a requirement that the person received an eviction notice, or what if
No,
they...
no, not at all. Yeah. You could relocate for any number of reasons, and doesn't need to be related to eviction. It could be, for any legitimate reason that someone moves, that could qualify. Yeah.
I do have a question. To be eligible for the program, not only do you have to meet the income requirement, do you have to show that your household was affected economically because of COVID? Or, for example,
the wording in the statute is due to or during. So you don't have to show that because of COVID there was any causative link to your economic impact, but just that you're experiencing an economic hardship during COVID-19, which is a much lower bar than showing that like your employer closed due to directly related to,
So just if you're behind on rent, go ahead and apply.
Yeah. Yes, please. And to your point, yeah, exactly. If you're behind on rent, definitely would encourage you to apply. Take a look at those area median income charts to kind of just get an idea that you probably qualify or not, just to save, kind of admin processing. But if you think to like individuals here, if you think you reasonably think you qualify, I would absolutely encourage you to apply. There's a lot of money available, and it's important that people take advantage of this resource. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.